I literally phoned someone earlier today and I was like, is this the number you call when you want to scream into the void? So yeah. Hello everyone. AmyR here with Prairie Paper and Ink. Face. Card making space. Live. Unscripted. Unfiltered. Insane. Totally alone in the room. That said, the unpaid intern is upstairs and he will be probably posting in the chat for me, like links and all the things. And hello to Mitzi behind the Altenew badge. She's also going to kind of moderate the chat as well for me, which is very much appreciated because, y'all, it's September and I'm losing my mind. I'm losing my mind. Oh, yeah, I should have just screamed into the void before we got started because everything's nuts in a great way. Everything's good. I was literally like trying to find my watercolor brushes and then my like computer's going off and I was like, oh, I'm supposed to be live. I'm a professional. I'm doing great. It seems like everything's working. I'm like checking screens and 5 million things and yeah. Oh, happy birthday, Mari. Exciting. Exciting. Alone who will make snarky comments. I was like, oh, he'll make them from upstairs, I'm sure. And I'll just like telepathically, I'm sure, hear them. But yeah. And yes, flour. He got me. I'll brag. He had to go to Costco to get groceries this morning because food. And he picked me up some flour. I can tilt this a little bit without dumping the water. But yeah, like beautiful fall colors. I want to show that big Gerber. Look at that big old Gerber daisy. Get in screen. There. Gotta love Costco flowers, you know? So those make me happy. So I literally like shoved stuff out of the way so I could put them in here. So I got some pretty flowers, you know? I love it. It makes me happy. So yeah, and I'm actually kind of gonna be inspired by that with what we're gonna do today. Let me like, my phone was blowing up before we started. I had like the dentist office calling me and just things, chaos. Huh? So everything is good. Looks like everything is running, and yeah. Okay, so like I said, when I do these bonus lives, it just completely throws me off. I don't know why. I've done so many lives. They don't faze me, but I have 5 million things on my plate. Life's chaotic. I have links in the description box below the video, like always. If I need to, after the live, I will edit and add if I pull anything else, because I am flying by the seat of my pants. Just, we're going to have fun today. Everything I'm using is oldie but goodies. Nothing new, crazy. Some of you might already have some of it. I have a little offer from Altenew. I'll get to that in a second. And I also have a link to Altenew's sale page. Worth checking out. There's some good things. The one main thing I'm using is on sale right now. Gotta love a good deal, So, got all those. And then I think I figured out how to do this. Let me double check to make sure I don't hit the wrong button. This is the deal that Altenew gave. It is also listed in the description below, like the specific things. But I think I figured out how to add this to the live stream. There we go. And you can hear me. Yes. Okay. So yeah, you can get a free gift of the Altenew cold press watercolor paper pack, which I'll show in a second, with orders of $49 or more with my code. And I have a link in the description box below with all the specific info. How fun is that? So thank you, Altenew, for doing that. I love it. I love it so much. And yeah, chaos. Okay, hello to everyone again. Hello. I'm just I'm shaking. Somewhat from excitement. Also, I'm just my phone going nuts right before we went live just threw me right off. So let me flip down here. Yeah. So let me So yeah, this is the little, the watercolor paper pack that is the little offer that Altenew gave, which again, link in the description box below and like the code and yada yada yada. But yeah, this is their cold pressed watercolor paper. And it comes in a pack of, I probably have more than 10 sheets in here. Yeah, I stuck a second pack in here. So I was like, I have a lot. Yeah. So you get like 10 and it's just nice. It's nice watercolor paper. I like this stuff. We're going to use it. It's got, it's always hard to show. I think you can kind of see it on your resolution. So one side has a bit of texture, not a lot, but cold pressed watercolor paper does have some texture to it. And then the other side is more smooth. And for those that aren't versed on watercolor paper, if you want smooth watercolor paper, you want hot press. Altenew does have hot press watercolor paper. The difference though is when it is hot press, while it gives you like a smoother finish because it literally is how it's made, and when it's rolled out, so when it's hot press, they use heat and it presses everything a lot smoother. However, when they make it that smooth, it behaves differently. That's why I don't use hot press very often. It has its place. I would use hot press if I had a very, very detailed stamp, you know, something very, very fine, a lot of detail, you know, that's where hot press can really come in because you've got that smooth finish and you can get all of that detail. But I haven't yet had a chance because we're going to use BETTERPRESS today. Not going to do hot foiling, but I haven't had a chance to test. I want a hot foil on hot press, the smooth watercolor paper, because I have actually tried hot foiling onto cold press watercolor paper and it's a lot more hit and a miss because of the texture, you know, because you do want the smoother, the better. So options, but most of the time I work with cold press because that little bit of texture, and usually I use the smoother side anyway, but that little bit of texture helps absorb and work. And it also presses beautifully because we're going to use the BETTERPRESS. We are. We're gonna get into it. So I have some watercolor paper. Let me get that. Now, if you are not familiar with BETTERPRESS, I did link also in the description box below. And then when this live is fully over, I will post it in the end screen like I always do. But I have a link to my playlist that has all the videos I've done using press plates, everything, because Altenew has a lot of press plates. And then I also linked to, I'm pretty sure, did I? I think I did. I hope I did. Yes, I linked to a couple specific videos using Altenew's press plates. Those are linked below because one of them is going to come into play with what we're going to do today. Because yeah, I love press plates. I love them so much. It is kind of insane. So we are going to use this. Oh, I love this. This came out last year. Yeah, this came out over a year ago. This is the inked Poppies press plate. This one's on sale. It's like 40 or 50% off right now. Just saying. So, and yeah, the video I linked below, I used this press plate a couple times. I hot foiled with it. And it just was so good. It was so good. And then I used other press plates in that video. It's press plates 5 ways. I did all sorts of things, had lots of fun. But this one, I think the only thing I did in that video was use it as like to hot foil it. And then I think I used the reverse hot foil as well. And that was it. I didn't do any coloring. Today I want to do color with this. And this is big. This plate is not small. Like it is roughly, this guy is like 5 inches wide by just a hair over 6 inches. Just giving you how big this is. So if you like doing bigger cards, I'm not going to do that today. But if you like doing 5x7 or just like big cards, this also is beautiful for it because it's gorgeous. You know, it's a big floral. I love big florals. Are we surprised? So but it works nicely on A2 size as well, which is what I'm going to use. So it's beautiful and it's on sale and I love that. I love it so much. So we're going to press it in more than one way. I need more space, you guys. I need more space. Okay, we'll get to all the other stuff in a second. I've got piles of things. So, BetterPress. Again, I linked to my BetterPress playlist. And in that playlist, the very first video in my BetterPress playlist was a live stream that I did back when I first got this a couple years ago, whenever it was. I don't even remember, but I, jumped on the bandwagon. I ordered it. And I did a live stream unboxing this and using it for the very first time. Like, I was just like, let's do it. And if I can do it, anybody can. So I love the BetterPress. It's probably one of the easiest things I've ever used. And I love press play. Like, love them so much. They are fun and there's so many things you can do with them. Again, I've done many videos. And you can hot foil with these as well. We're not going to do that today because I'm just my brain, you guys. And I want to, but I did that in the other video. So if you want to see this specific, one hot foiled, that video, I linked the 5 ways video that I linked in the description box below. Worth checking out because hot foiling with these, I don't know what it is. I'm not sure what what black magic wizardry they did, but there's something about press plates specifically that hot foil better than hot foil plates. So my assumption is that from whatever point onward, that all the brands that have been doing hot foil plates or that are doing press and foil will just switch over to doing just press plates because in my opinion, you don't need both. You just need press plates because then you can use them for whatever you want. We can press with them. We can hot foil with them. You can use them without a BetterPress. I've shown that in videos, like running it through with different sandwiches and stuff. Not my favorite way to use them. I prefer the BetterPress. So, yeah, that's what we're going to do. I also don't hardly ever use the BetterPress ink. It's great. It is great. It works wonderfully. It's amazing. There's so many other inks out there that are so fun to play with. And they're easier to clean up. Specifically like Altenew's inks, which we're gonna use because I love it so much. So that's what we're gonna do. So I have my watercolor paper. And again, this right now is 5x7 watercolor paper. But I am making an A2 size card with this. So my plan is once it's pressed, like when I cut this down, we're going to cut a little bit off. It's okay. We will survive. So I'm just going to center it roughly on here using my little guide to kind of give me an idea of where everything is going to be. Yeah, I'm okay with that. And then the watercolor paper, we're going to hold him in place. And I just keep my tape and I just keep reusing it. And I always forget there's very specific names for this. One is the chase and one is the platen. And I always forget which one is which. I just say the magnetic plate and the clear plate because I don't remember. If someone does, let me know. But I don't remember. And I just whatever. But the clear plate on here has all the markings. It's got the A2 markings and it all says A2, A7, yada, yada, yada. So like this is how it goes on. And so you're using it right when you flip it over and the wording is backwards. So we've got it faced up. I'm going to take my watercolor paper. And since it is already 5x7, I just line it up with the markings. With this, again, it doesn't matter. We are going to cut this down, but this at least, gives me my little visual. And then I just keep reusing my tape. The other thing I do sometimes, if I'm doing something like a background, not just like this, because something like these babies. I did link to Altenew's press plates because they do have quite a few of them, and they are like Look at these. Like, look at them. Look at them. They're beautiful. They're beautiful. You know, we got that's the basket weave. We got this little blooming floral swag. Love it. Love the gilded marble. I've used these in a bunch of videos. Love them. I have hot foiled with them. I've pressed them. I used this one just the other day. Or the video that went up 2 days ago. Was it 2 days ago? 3 days ago? Whenever. I don't remember what day it is. I used the Stonewall texture plate. So anyway, when you're using like ones like this that are a solid background, and say you've got it lined up and you want to cover like an entire panel, and you don't want, because sometimes the tape can get in the way. When it's something like this and my paper isn't bigger, it's the size, whatever, I'll use something like just tape runner. And I just put, instead of the tape, I put tape runner like on the clear plate. Just a little bit. You don't need much. Just enough to hold the paper in place. And then it either just comes off when I remove the paper, you just wiggle it off, or I'll use an adhesive eraser and take the adhesive off. But yeah, it all works. It all works. Yeah, I never remember the fancy words. And yes, the BETTERPRESS ink is difficult to clean up. It is. Spellbinders recommends, I gotta put everything away before I lose my stuff, because I have a pile of things that I'm working on. And yeah, this just hopefully explains a lot of stuff. Okay. So, could you use a little pixie spray? I mean, you could. You could. Honestly, though, I wouldn't, just personally, because pixie spray is going to go, you're going to have a lot of it. You know, and it is a low tack. That's why I would just prefer just using like a little tape runner. Just because I literally would put, if I like pretend, like here. If I was doing this and I wanted to do, say, this, and I didn't want any tape, I would use this tape runner just like 1, 2, 3, 4. Like little tiny bits. You hardly need any. And other times I'll put just like a little bit in the middle. That's it. That's all you need. Just a small amount. Because that also, and then when I'm done pressing it, if it's like sticking because the pressure, I just don't rip it up. I just like wiggle it. Especially if it's thinner cardstock. We're going to press this on thinner cardstock too. So, yeah. But for this, the tape is fine. I just keep reusing this. I don't, until this stuff falls apart, I just keep it on here. It just needs to hold the paper in place. That's all we got to do. Okay. So, like I said, I linked to Altenew's press because they've got so many good ones. Look at it. So many good ones. I love them. And then this one. And sentiments, we'll get into that too. But for now, we're going to use this. And I forgot my ink. I knew there was something. Where's my ink? There it is. Okay. So yeah. Inks. I have a brand new BETTERPRESS, but I haven't even taken it out of the box. Take it out of the box. Take it out of the box. Play with it. It's fun. Super easy. So yes, inks. You can kind of use whatever you want. Really. The BETTERPRESS ink, it is a formulation with Spellbinders and Ranger. It is similar to, and I'm talking the BETTERPRESS ink. It is similar to archival ink, but it's thicker because Ranger formulated it with Spellbinders for the BETTERPRESS, and it gives amazing results. It is a very, very, very crisp ink, very awesome ink, but it is difficult to clean. So with the BETTERPRESS ink and press plates, Spellbinders does recommend the archival ink cleaner for these. It works. I've shown it. The only thing I don't like about it, I cannot stand the smell of this. It just don't like the smell of it. It works amazing. It does. I rarely use it because I don't really use the BETTERPRESS inks. Most of the time I'm using things like the fresh dye inks. I love Altenew's inks. When I used the that Stonewall press plate the other day, I just used, in fact, it was this color. I used this one and another one. So these inks were great. But again, just about anything. Have I used oxides? Yes. I've used like pretty much every ink with press plates. They all work. I've used pigment inks, metallic inks, dye inks, so many things. The only thing you need to remember is when you're applying the ink, if the ink pad isn't, thank you, Corrine, for the super chat. If the ink pad, I appreciate you, isn't a felt. So Altenew's fresh dye inks, they're the felt with the linen tip, so they're solid. So you can really like tap, which I will show. If the ink pad is a foam ink pad, so like pigment inks, some of the brands are foam inks, you can still use them. You just need to use a lighter hand. Like, don't be like roughening because you will mush ink everywhere. And with these, you definitely don't. You're trying to get ink on the surface. So hopefully that kind of explains all the things. And there was one other thing, I think. Did you say you could foil hot press paper? I'm not sure. I want to try it. I'm not going to do that today because I definitely don't have the time. I've tried hot foiling on cold press watercolor paper. I tried it out, I think last year at some point. It didn't work. It didn't work. But I do want to try hot foiling on hot press to see, because with hot foiling, you generally need much smoother cardstock, smoother surfaces, because hot foiling is its own thing. Press plates do foil beautifully. Like, again, if you haven't seen me do hot foiling press plates, check out that 5 ways video that I have linked in the description box below, because I used this plate, this Biofall inked Poppies, and I hot foiled it, and it was amazing. Love it so much. I million times over prefer press plates to hot foil. So, all that to say, we're going to use Obsidian Pigment Ink for this. Okay, so hello to everybody. And yeah, so Altenew's Obsidian Pigment Ink is also a felt ink pad, so it is firmer. It's not foam, so I have, and when you're inking these up, I gotta make sure I have space because I got to pull out my die cut machine. You just kind of tappy tap and maybe a little bit of a twist. And because specifically the Obsidian ink is dark, it's intense. This is easy, and you just tappy tap until it's covered, just like this. That's all you do. And this is so freaking gorgeous. I love Poppies. I love Poppies so much. So that's all you do. So I've inked it up. And then again, if you're not familiar with this, there are magnets in the 4 corners, and they stick out. So when I flip this over, this isn't touching anything yet. It's suspended. There's a gap within reason, because the whole point of press is we put it through the die cut machine, and that's what presses everything together. And that is the thing with the BETTERPRESS. It's listed on the Spellbinder site, the machines that are compatible. I use it with the Spellbinder's Platinum 6, full stop. It doesn't work. The BETTERPRESS doesn't work in the Empress, like the Anna Griffin Empress electronic machine does not work. But it is compatible with several machines. I have the Platinum 6, so that's what I use. So then all you got to do is roll it through. Like so. And it's always a little nerve-wracking, especially when I'm live and there's an audience, and I'm like, did it work? Oh, it did. It did. Do I need to say anything more? Like, this is like mic drop, It's like, look at that. Look at that. Like, solid. Look at it. I wish I could show you guys. I wish you could actually see the texture that's like pressed in, because that's part of it too. It's not just the detail, it's the texture that presses in. I can't. And it's something you could just, video and photos don't do it justice. In real life, it's so nice. It's so nice. It's so nice. I love it. I did get a little bit of transfer right along top because I had ink, all over the place. That is something you can always keep in mind, is like wipe that away before you run it through your machine. But we're cutting this down, so I don't care. I don't care. But yeah, like perfect. One run. While I'm blabbing, I'm not, if I can do this, anybody can do this, like, seriously. So I do need to clean this up because we are going to press it. We're going to do a panel for the inside of the card. Hello. And all the things. So what I need to do is, with Altenew's ink, because it is very intense, I guess, a lot of times, like with the fresh dye inks, any of these, because these are just water reactive inks, I just wipe these with a baby wipe. Like when I use those inks, that's all I do. However, because I'm going to go in with lighter colors after this, I'm just kind of removing the bulk like so. And then I'm just going to use a stamp cleaner to quickly clean this off. So we'll just kind of do that, just like that. And then I can take this guy off of here like that. And I can just wipe off whatever schmutz is on there. We can get this out of the way. Aren't they gorgeous? I love this plate. Like, seriously. All right. Get that out of the way. Get that out of the way. And then what I do with stuff like this, because again, I don't like I will use the archival cleaner only when I absolutely have to. This doesn't need it. I just use a stamp cleaner. This is just Brutus Monroe stamp cleaner. And I can just go like that. And I don't normally just do this on my work surface, but this is all going to wipe up, So there we go. He's clean, or clean enough. And then I can just wipe all this up like that. And the plates will get stained a bit. I'm not really concerned about that, especially if you're using the like BETTERPRESS ink. It will stain. And the other thing, if you do use the BETTERPRESS ink and use it consistently, you don't need to clean your plates every time. If I want to just use this with the pigment ink, I would still clean it, just because I don't need it transferring anywhere or whatever. But you can just leave it. But with specifically the BETTERPRESS inks, that does build up over time. You don't have to clean it the first time or the second time or the third time, but especially as a detail, that ink will build up. Any ink, really, will build up if you aren't cleaning it. So if you're doing, like, say, like 30 impressions, I would probably clean it off after every, like, 5 or so, maybe, because it's just going to build up, and you don't want that, like, getting into all that detail, So just give it a good little clean, and then he's good. He's good to go. We'll come back to him later, because we got to put something on the inside of the card. So hopefully that explains all the things. All the things. Okay. It would be nice if one of the clouds for September was a press plate. I would be excited if they ever did that, but I will never say never. It's not my, I don't have to, I'm not in charge of anything. The logistics of getting these made, these are not cheap to make and produce. Yeah, not everyone's into press plates. I get it. So that said, if any brand wanted to do a press plate set for Stamptember, I'd be all over it, like white on race, like I would be here. I would be here for it. But thankfully, the brands have so many fabulous things. So we have our, honestly, you could just be done. We could just trim this down, stick it on a card, add a sentiment, and call it a day. Really, like this one, it's beautiful. You know, we're going to do some watercoloring, you know, because that's what I wanted to do with this and I never got the chance to. So that's what I wanted to do today. But literally, it is gorgeous enough that we could just like look at it, you know. But we're going to do watercoloring specifically with fresh dye inks. I did one video. Yeah, it was that same video. It was the Altenew Stamp Timber collab. I did watercoloring with some fresh dye inks and I was like, this was fun. I like this. Need to do more of it because their inks watercolor really, really nicely. This is actually going to be simple watercolor that anyone can do. I know. Images like this, while they look very intimidating to those that maybe just don't feel comfortable coloring, watercoloring, things like that. And especially like it's big. Like it's a big image and there's all this detail. However, images like this are actually some of the easiest to color because all of that detail is there. All of this dark line work is already there. So you just need to add color, you know, just fill in the areas that are open and that's it. So anyone can do it. And if you are not very skilled at watercolor or just coloring, because you can use anything to color this in, depending on what you press it onto. Personally, I would not recommend using alcohol markers on watercolor paper. You can. It works. The thing to remember with watercolor paper and alcohol markers is the watercolor paper is meant to absorb. You know, like it is 100% cotton. It is not paper fibers, it's cotton. And it's meant to absorb. So if you're using alcohol markers on it, they will work. But the paper naturally, the watercolor paper is pulling the color from the marker. So while it will work, if you did that a lot, don't be surprised if you dry out your markers. Now, Altenew's alcohol markers, they do have refills. Also wonderful, love it. But it's just something to keep in mind. So that's why I don't use alcohol markers on watercolor paper. But you can. But if I wanted to color this, I would use like with alcohol markers, I would use a black ink meant for alcohol markers and like Nina cardstock or just a cardstock meant for alcohol markers, my alcohol markers of choice. I'd press it that way, let it fall dry, and then you could color it. So we got lots of options. And then, yeah. So what I was getting back to the coloring. So all you're doing is filling it in, you know, and you don't have to be like super good at it. So if you're like not sure of yourself with coloring, like with specifically watercoloring, and you find it intimidating, look for images like this. As crazy as that sounds, I know, but you just add color and you don't have to worry about like, oh, I need to add like line detail or like get in there and do, you know, all those sorts of things. Don't worry about it. All the details there, all the dark shade, like everything's shaded for you. So slap on some color, be messy with it. So I hope that, because I know how intimidating it is. I get it. Trust me. Been there. Still am there sometimes. Hello to everybody. I hope I made sense with everything. Been practicing with my Altenew alcohol markers and I really love them. Oh yeah, I really like Altenew alcohol markers. I've done a few videos. I have a playlist. There will be more videos down the road of me using them because if you're not familiar with Altenew's alcohol markers, they have them in their sets of 12 and they're in Altenew's colors. You know, their ink colors, so everything's matchy and I love that. So you've got like 4 markers. It would like there's a literal set that has, you know, these colors in it, yada yada. Love it. Okay, I have a. You probably mentioned this. What side of the cold press Prairie puzzle? I pressed this on the smoother side. It honestly wouldn't have mattered really, with this, because again, Altenew's watercolor paper is not super textured. There's actually another texture in the world of watercolor, because there's hot press, there's cold press. There is also, is it just called coarse? There's a name for it, but it's in most craft brands don't do that level. I have a pack of it around here somewhere. I never use it, but it is extremely textured. Like, not really meant for card makers at all. It is for like hardcore watercolor artists. So we won't even, we'll just, that's its own thing. But yeah, I press this onto the more like smoother side. But again, with honestly, it would have worked. I probably would have got, I don't know, can you guys, like, you can see that image through, but yeah, you can't really see, but in real life, like this, the back of this is the more textured side, but the press plate, I wish I could show you guys. You can actually see how it like, how well it pressed. It like pressed the watercolor paper a little bit, which is just interesting to me. So it, honestly, it probably wouldn't matter. If you're not sure, say you don't have this, like you have watercolor paper in your stash and you have a BETTERPRESS, all the things, take a small piece of it. You know, you don't need to use a full piece if you're just experimenting. Take a small piece of it, choose a section of your plate, and run it through either side to see what the difference is or if there's a difference. Because honestly, with pressing like this, usually it shouldn't really matter. You know, when I'm stamping, I always choose the smoother side. But with press plates, I don't think it matters. I don't think it matters, you know? But test it. Okay. I don't think I missed anything else. Are there markers cheaper than the Copics? I think so. I think Altenew's work out to slightly cheaper. I would have, I don't have like the links in front of me, so I'm not sure. Because again, Altenew's come in sets of 12. They do go on sale at times though. And sometimes Altenew does some like utterly insane sales. In fact, I think they had a bundle in that sale category. Sometimes they'll have it like if you want to get a lot of markers at once, they'll have like the entire collection, or because there's a lot. There's a lot. Or they'll have like chunks of the collection. There's options. Anyway, let's get to watercoloring because I'm just like yapping and yapping and yapping. So I was in a very fall, and we'll get to these later too. I was in a very fall mood when I pulled this out. There we go. Okay. So, one, love poppies. You can do so many different colors. One of my neighbors plants like a bunch of wildflowers, and I love it so much. And they plant poppies, and they have like so many pretty colors, like really pale pinks and you know, so many colors. But I was in a fall mood with this, so I want to do like orangey red. So we're gonna do a little bit of color mixing, just because we can. Just because we can. And Altenew inks watercolor really nicely. So I've got a nice little plastic palette. I finally found my Altenew palettes. I linked to both. This is the medium size one. It's like 5x8. No. 5 3/4. I've had this for years, you guys. It's roughly 5x8 inches. So this is the medium. It's like $5. Love this thing. Just non-porous surface will work. Heck, I could smush inks onto my glass. The only reason I don't smush inks onto here is because I'll like get it everywhere. And then they do have a big one. And for some reason I had bought a second. I think because I lost this one years ago, and then I bought a second one. And of course, when you order, like, that is the rule. When you order something to replace something you lost, you find the thing you lost. Anyway, so that's the big one. It's like this one's like 8.5 by 11. Like it's big, huge, huge. Any non-porous little thingy will work, because with the inks, you just smush them. That's all we need. Just smush them. So we're gonna do that, and then so that was velvet, and then we'll use Snapdragon, because like I said, I am in a very fall color mood. Let's start with that. Let's just do those two for now. Let's not go completely insane. We'll save the doobly bits. And then I have the watercolor brushes that I was looking for. Watercolor brushes, jar of water. Doodly-doo. Lose something, buy a new one, it'll show up. Yep, pretty much guaranteed. And then the other thing, I have a cloth to wipe my brushes on while I'm coloring. This should work. And then I should be able to zoom in a little bit. There we go. There we go. So we can kind of like set this up so everybody can see the colors. Okay. So, yeah, I have a link to the sale category in the description box. Definitely worth checking out. Because again, and this press plate's on sale. Hello. Time to get it if you're interested, you know. And yes, I cleaned the watercolor water. It's currently clean. I did that right before the live. It won't be when we're done. That's okay. So I'm using Altenew's little brushes. And we're just going to start doing it. So it always depends on my mood. Sometimes I go in directly with the color. Other times I'll do things like this where you wet the area first with water. And when you wet it first, that just means the color is going to move. So then I just swirl my brush and I can start dropping it in. And Altenew's inks, like I said, they watercolor so nicely. And I can pick up a bit of the velvet and paint that in kind of at the base. And then just like moving the brush in between the two colors to blend them. That's it. There we go. That's it. You know? Teaser, we're releasing different size sketchbooks early next year. I didn't even know that, Mitzi. Love it. Altenew has way too many good things up their sleeve. So many things. Oh my god, when you guys see the September release, it's so good. It's so good. That comes out next week. Anyway. And yeah, 2 water glasses, 1 for clean off brushes, 1 for clear water, start new colors. Yes. A lot of people do 2 jars of water, 2 wells. Like there's some watercolor things that have like a divider in between. You can have clean water and dirty water. 100%. I don't even do it. I used to. I don't anymore. I just keep 1 jar and I go with it. It just depends. But I clean it out because mine gets really disgusting. Yeah. It's personal preference. But if you're trying to keep your colors, like the integrity of your colors, that's where you do a 2 jar method. You have 1 jar of water to like swirl your brushes, clean them off, and then 1 jar you keep clear to keep your colors more true, you know, so they're not getting muddied up with your dirty watercolor water. And I used to always do that, but now I just embrace it. And I added a little too much water, so it's bleeding out a smidge past that, but I'm not too concerned. I can take a little bit. Actually, I can just take a tissue. I can take a tissue, press that in just to keep it from going too far. For the most part, usually, like pressing it kind of keeps in a weird way because pressing, not emboss, debosses, you know, because I talk about like heat embossing my images, so they have the raised like bumper pads, like I call them. BETTERPRESS still kind of does that, but in a weird opposite way because it's debossing, you know, pressing in. But a lot of it still keeps things a little more contained. However, when I'm live and talking and not paying enough attention and adding too much water, yeah, I get just a smidge of bleed out. We're going to be adding splatter anyway. I'm not too concerned about it. You know, it's not the end of the world. So we just go in, you add that water. You don't need to add much. And then I go in and we just keep repeating. So painting on the Snapdragon color, and then I can go in with the velvet. And then I just kind of like scrub the brush in between those colors to blend them into each other. And then we just keep going. The Altenew website will tell you at the top left of a product if you bought it from them before. Oh, that's a good thing to know. Love that. Love it. Love it. Okay. So we're just going to keep going. And like I said, this image, while it looks very intimidating, is quite easy to color because so much of the detail was in the plate. So we're just, all we're doing is adding that bit of color to whatever is left of the open areas. So let's go in, paint that, add a bit more orange, smidge more water. There we go. And this is just a little bit. Doot, doot, doot. Yeah. Yeah. You know? Like, I love poppies. I love press plates. I love poppies. I love large florals. This is all of my favorite things. So much fun. So we can just kind of go in and just kind of add that little bit of water. Just like that. Nothing too crazy. And then I take my Snapdragon color and paint that on there. And you could also use, like, you can use like regular watercolors. That's what I was originally gonna use today, was one of Altenew's like watercolor palettes, you know, or you could use Altenew's watercolor tubes. Like any form of watercolor is gonna work. I like playing with the inks, you know, and it's especially nice for those that maybe don't have watercolor, don't have a bunch of watercolor palettes or are intimidated by the thought. It's like, well, then use your inks. Because so many inks are water reactive. These ones being definitely one of them. So they watercolor really, really nicely. So we can just kind of scribble that on there. Let it blend out like that. Just like that. You know? And then your 18-year-old cat, love it. Love it. Love it. That's cute. I know. Snapdragon's a really pretty orange. It's not, it's all like really like full strength. It's almost like a true orange. Like it's orange, you know? But it's not, yeah, you can like blend it out to a really pretty, like lighter shade. I like Snapdragon. Okay. Let's get the rest of these done because I spent a big chunk of this live already just yapping. So let's get her going because I still want to like end up with a finished card. So we get everything wet. And you know what? I'm just going to use this larger brush because this is the one I prefer to use anyway. So we'll go in with the Snapdragon towards the tips of the petals. And then you pick up the velvet, paint that towards the base of the petals. And then we're using whatever's kind of left in the brush and basically doing almost like a scrub in between. And then we can go back in, add a little bit more of the orange. Pick up a little bit of the red. And that's it, you know? There we go. And then the other thing you can do when you're coloring is just turning your paper towards yourself wherever it makes, you know, whatever makes sense and is more comfortable. Because you can, you know, you can. It doesn't have to be, you don't need to do ridiculous gymnastics or crazy things. So we're just going to keep kind of moving things around, painting the water, add in the color, and then mix. And again, you don't have to do 2 shades either. You could do this all in one. You know, just choose a color that you love and paint. We could do them all in red. We could do them all purple. Do them all pink. Whatever, you know? Florals can be whatever you want. It's paper, you know? Don't get hung up on the specifics. And I say that as someone with OCD who does get hung up on the specifics. But like I tell everyone, just don't sweat it, man. Do whatever you want. Who cares? You know? Like, make them all green. Do whatever floats your boat. Like, there aren't any floral police. So, we'll just keep going. This last petal, there's only that little tiny bit because it's all just, you know, the black detail, which is fine. So we can just go in and fill in whatever is left with the Snapdragon color. And that'll get floral number 2 basically done. We'll do the centers and everything after. There we go. Yes, Terry, this is Altenew's watercolor paper. And yes, there is a deal, like a code in the description box right below the video. Because you can get a pack of the watercolor paper for free with my code and a $49 order. All the info's in the description box. It's near the top. And yeah, I do like this watercolor paper. It's nice. And for being 100% cotton, I didn't even really think about that, but for being 100% cotton, the price is really good too. Because usually 100% cotton paper watercolor packs are a lot more than that. Yeah. Because usually when the price is that good, usually they're mixed. Like it's usually like a wood pulp fiber mix with cotton. And then some of the cheapest watercolor papers aren't cotton at all. They're literally just like wood pulp, which for watercolor purists, you know, hardcore watercolor artists, it can be yeah, there's a lot of arguments about it and everything else, you know, cheap watercolor paper, whatever. It has its place. It really does. For those of us, you know, all of us card makers, my philosophy has always been like, get with specifically watercolor paper. Technically, you know, get what you can afford, like try to go to the absolute max, get the best quality, yada yada. That said though, I have a lot of fun with the cheaper papers. I don't overthink it too much. It is just card making. It's paper. I'm not doing something that I want to be archived and hung in the Louvre. I'm not going to worry about it. But for basic stuff and just to play and create, get what you want. Use what you want. Use what you have. Whatever. And this stuff works great. I'm happy with this stuff. And if you're wanting to dive deeper into watercolor and really start to experiment and do more like freehand watercoloring and get into watercolor tubes and like all that kind of stuff, that's when you can start really considering like, upping your paper game and getting the good stuff, if that makes sense. Because the papers, out of everything, the paper is what makes the biggest difference. But for something like this stuff presses great. It watercolor is great. I like it. I like it. You know? Um, I know, so you're not going over the black ink. Does it leave color in the black? No. Okay. I'll explain why I kind of avoid that in a second because it's habit and that'll make sense. But I do kind of go over it a bit here and there. Altenew's fresh dye inks, these are all transparent because they are a dye. There's no pigment in these inks at all. So I could basically go, not going to, let's not drop it on there, but I could go straight on and you won't see any of that color over the black because these are transparent. Now, you see me as I'm watercolor, like I'm kind of avoiding. That's just habit. It doesn't matter. Like I can paint over, but over the years, more so because of alcohol marker coloring, not really so much watercoloring, but alcohol marker coloring, I have developed a habit of avoiding a lot of the black because it's usually black. You usually stamp your images in black ink, whatever. And with alcohol markers, even with using an ink meant for it, over the years I avoid the lines. It's just less chance of smearing because alcohol is its own beast with alcohol markers, etc. But with this, it's not going anywhere. Like Altenew's Obsidian, because it's a pigment ink. It's a pigment ink, exceptionally crisp. It's not going anywhere. Like all the years ago, you can see nothing is feathered. Like it has stayed crisp, you know. But yeah, that's why you guys see me kind of paint around all of it because I just over the years it's habit, but it doesn't matter. Um, so yeah, I work my way like around like do 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 do, but I could paint right over it and it wouldn't matter. It's not going anywhere. It it's just gonna stay. So that's why I do it like that. Um, because yeah, it's like muscle memory is basically how it is for me. And I don't even really think about it until somebody points it out and I was like, "Oh yeah, yeah, I do that." I do that. But yeah, I can paint over these black areas and the color's not gonna. If I was using something with a pigment in it, so a pigment ink to color with, or distress oxides, anything with a pigment, then you would need to be a little more careful because those pigments would sit on top of the black. So if I was, coloring all over the place with something with a pigment in it, yes, some of it would sit and show up and not look very pretty, depending. So, but yeah, like all of the fresh dye inks, they are transparent. Most watercolors, like Altenew's artist watercolors, um, most are transparent. Some do have some pigments in them because it just depends on the mix to create that certain color. That's also where swatching comes in handy. If you ever see someone specifically swatching watercolors, what they do usually is they've got their piece of watercolor paper and they'll have a black strip. Usually they'll just take a Sharpie marker and do a black strip and they paint over the entire thing. And it's to show the transparency of the watercolor. Because some do have pigments in them. It depends on the type and the color that the manufacturer's trying to achieve. And some will have um, pigments in them, so then they're not as transparent. And then some cheaper watercolors have fillers in them, which the fillers are usually like titanium oxide and things like that. And that's a pigment, and it means they're a little chalkier. I actually love chalky watercolors. They're fun. For card making, they're fun. Yeah. Anyway, I could go on and on about all the things. Okay. So there's our like colors. Very simple. I could go, if we wanted to, we could go back in and layer, like add another layer of the same colors and intensify it. I'm not going to do that because then we'll be here all bloody. And you guys, I knew. So I'm going to do the greenery, which I kind of want to go darker. I want to go darker with the greenery. I'm going to get a little fiddly. I want to use Firefly. So we're using the Green Valley quad for that. We'll use a little bit of Firefly. And I want to use some Shadow Creek. Ooh, and that one was juicy. Love it. Juicy. And we'll use a little bit of Mountain Pine. And these are all from that same... That one's juicy too. Oh, good. Love. Love. Okay. And we're basically going to do the exact same thing, but I'm going to do like the centers. And barely. Barely. There we go. And that area will just go right in like that. And then just let that dry. There we go. Want that even darker. Okay. And then for the leaves, it's just going to be like go in and start painting. And I use the lightest shade more towards the tips. And then I start going in with the darker. Like that. There we go. Kind of paint that in, and then I can add the very darkest, like more right at the base. Just simple. Amazes me that Altenew is the only company to make inks with lids that can't fall off. Honestly, when the fresh dye inks were first released, I genuinely, and this was before I was working with Altenew, like I've been using Altenew's products since they like started the company back in, it's been what, 10 years now? Just over 10 years, something like that. I remember purchasing, Altenew products because big florals when they came on the scene, yas. Anyway, I remember seeing when they first released the fresh dye inks, and my first impression of them, I was like, are you seriously? Like, round? And like, yeah, that they screw on. I was like, why? I was so like, I didn't get it. And I was like, what are you guys thinking? What is going on? And then I got some, and I am fully converted, and I love them. I like it. And yes, having the lid screw on like that, I can't even tell you how many times I have knocked these ink pads onto the floor. So many times. And the fact that I don't have to run around and find the lid. Love it. It was genius. I didn't understand the vision in the beginning. I remember talking to someone about it, and I was like, what are they thinking? This is the most ridiculous thing ever. Why did they do this? And then I just am fully converted, and I love them. I love them so much. So yeah. Yeah. And they're not hard. Like you can't over tighten them. Literally. They just stop at a certain point. So that was a nice thing too. And it works. It works. Like, this is why I don't design things ever. Because I would never think of these things. That's not how my brain works. And I would never in a million years think of like let's do rounding pads and let's make them screw top ink pads. Like, you guys would have never seen that from me. That's why I use the products. I let everyone else come up with all the good ideas, and then I use them. I'm like, look how amazing this is. Look how smart they are. I'm not. I'm just here to, provide distraction. So, yeah. Yeah. And yeah, they take up, the other thing was they are roughly the same size as a distress ink pad. Just if you're not familiar with the fresh dye inks, because that was my thing too. I was like, how on earth am I going to store these things? They're about the same size as a distress ink pad, and height as well. So most holders that will hold a distress ink or distress oxide ink pad will hold these. There are custom holders from other vendors. I have a couple of them from, is it Stamp and Storage? I should have linked to that. I didn't, because I wasn't planning on talking about those. But yeah, there's the carousels that hold the inks, and they have one designed specifically for the fresh dye inks. So love it. Yeah. Okay. Keep going. And yes, they're easier to pack, and they stack. So even if people don't, you can stack them, because there's a little like groove in the lid, so they do stack. And then they do have labels, of course. I always need the labels, always, so I can see everything. But yeah, they stack, and then they don't go anywhere. I love it. I love it so much. And then they have 5 million colors as well. Like, I'm not sure what they're up to in terms of how many colors. Last time I counted how many fresh dye inks, there was like 170 or something. There's a lot. There's a lot. And I love it. I do. I really do. I love it so much. The more colors, the better. You can never have too many. I need therapy. But anyway, we're going to keep painting this greenery. Just like so. I'm honestly not worrying about it too much. I'm getting a little bit messy. I also have a crow sitting outside my garage. I don't know if my microphone's picking that up, but he's just cawing. Add a little bit and blend those into each other, and then go in with the darkest shade. There we go. And then we just need to add the last little bit, like using up every little bit of that firefly shade. Like that. Like that. Paint that in there. And then in there. And then like that. Drop in a bit of that darkest shade. Good enough. Yeah, like I said, it doesn't need to be perfect. It doesn't need to be perfect. And then we need to do the stamens, which for that we'll just use a bit of, let's use Sunray. So we'll smush some of that on there. 150 of crisp dye. Crisp dye ink is the previous formula. Crisp dye was Altenew's previous formula of ink, which they are, if Mitzi can correct me if I'm wrong, I think the crisp dye ink, they're basically phasing that out completely, because the fresh dye ink is a different formula. And yeah, there is, I'm pretty sure there's even more colors of the fresh dye inks. Again, last I checked, but it's been a while. I have them piled up. I have so many. I have more than my holder can hold. There's a lot. There's a lot. But yeah, the crisp dye ink was like their original. The crisp dye inks are the ones in the kind of ovally shaped ink pads. I don't have those. Yeah, I don't have any, so I can't even like show it. But there's those were the original ones, and then now we have the fresh dye ink, and then they do have some. There is a couple in this type of ink pad that's like a metallic pigment. There's like a rose gold and something else. There's a couple anyway, and then there's the like obsidian. Oh, and a white pigment. There's a white pigment ink. Is it cloud white? I have that I keep it in a separate drawer because I use it all the time. So I've got that one. That crow is. I honestly wish my microphone would pick that up so you guys could hear it. He's being insane. He's nuts. Anyway. And I can't specifically comment on the old. Got too much water in my brush. Like the crisp dye ink formula because I'm not familiar with it. But I don't think, and again, Mitzi can post that in chat if I'm wrong. I don't think it was water reactive, but I might be wrong. It might have been. I never had any of it, so I can't say what it was like. I am only familiar with the fresh dye inks. And there we go. Okay. Yeah, it kind of is Nevermore. You guys can hear you? Okay. So he is that loud. I'm not crazy. Sitting here yelling at a crow, and it would honestly be funny if you guys couldn't hear it at all. Here's Amy yelling on a live at an imaginary bird. But good that the microphone picked that up. Yeah, he's nuts. He just wanted to be heard. Wanted to get his 2 cents in. Why am I not surprised? Okay. Kathy, honestly, like with the crisp dye inks, I've heard nothing but good things about them. From what I do understand, those that have the crisp dye inks down the road, say you use that ink and it gets like, and you need to re-ink it. You can use the same color. So say you have, because I don't know for sure, but say you have like the Snapdragon in the crisp dye ink, and that ink pad in a couple of years, you've used it so much, it's no longer. You can use the re-inkers, the fresh dye ink re-inkers in those old ink pads. However, if anyone has the crisp dye re-inkers, put the crisp dye formula into these. So, because I remember people were asking about that. So you can use the fresh dye ink re-inkers because I think it just works. The color is the same. The formula is different. So, yeah. Were they water reactive? Okay. If the crisp dye inks were water reactive, then like awesome. Yeah. Like I don't have any to compare because I would have. I would compare them, but I don't have them to compare because I would have smushed them and tested them out. But I know they were good. Everyone raved about them. So, okay. I wiped off my palette. You can kind of save it. I don't worry about it. We're good. So, this guy, you can tell, like, I'm not going to touch a front of this. I can tell from the back. If it feels cool, it means it's still damp, like it's still wet. So we need to let this either completely dry, or I'm just going to blast it with my heat tool to speed it up because we're live. And then I want to trim this down to an A2 size. That's what I want to do. So I am going to blast this with my heat tool, though, just to speed this up. You can let it air dry, but that's what we're going to do. if your sound is weird, just refresh. That should work. Unless everyone's having issues. Everything should be good though. Everything should be good, hopefully. Couple of you having issues? Give me a sec. I texted the unpaid intern. He'll check from his end, but usually if you refresh, it should be fine. Okay, this is basically dry enough. And then I'm going to cut it, which I know freaks people out, but I am going to, we're going to cut it. And I want it, like I said, to be A2 sized, possibly slightly smaller. I'm kind of thinking I'm just going to take, yeah. Okay. According to the unpaid intern, my sound is okay. So if you're having sound issues, you can just like close the stream and like come back in or just hit refresh. Should work. Okay. I want to take it about there. And I know this freaks people out, but it's okay. It's okay. We'll all survive. We did it. And we survived, you know? So now it's A2 size. Again, just to give you an idea of the size of this plate and how big it is. Love it. Love it. Yeah, YouTube might be messing with things. It wouldn't surprise me. Okay, we have that. I want to pull back in. I'm going to use this color. And this color. We're just going to use the two shades. I'm not going to go completely nuts. Okay, so, and I've shown this before in videos, because you guys know, I like to do the insides of my cards. And let me... Okay, so, this is going to go on our card front, like so. But I want something on the inside, more than just a sentiment. So to do that, I gotta like move stuff out of the way so we can pull all the things out again. And yes, totally could have done an A7 card. I just don't. Yeah, it will work beautifully on an A7 card because it's huge, and who doesn't love that? So what I want to do though is I'm gonna line this up. So again, I've got my like A2 margins here, and what I want to do is sort of line it up how it's going to show, like how I have it here. Like I've got about this much of a gap. We're splitting hairs here. It doesn't need to be exact, you know? But I'm just like, let's kind of go like that. My biggest thing is I don't want it, the plate to go past here. Because I'm going to press this onto what will be the inside of my card. So I don't want the plate pressing up, you know, into here because that'll look weird. And then what I do is I take my card base, and sometimes I'll do this just on a separate piece of cardstock and glue that to the inside of my card. It just depends on my mood. Today we're going to do it right onto the card base because why not? So I'm going to line up my card base with the A2 markers and use my little bit of tape in the corners here, just these two corners. And then sometimes I will use a like Post-it tape, because I show that a lot, using Post-it tape right at the score line to prevent from like stamping past the score line, that sort of thing. I don't need to use that today because the plate is not going past here. And then we're just going to ink this up with 2 very light shades of ink from the same quad. So I'm going to use Sunray and Blush. And let's just do kind of blush into Sunray. And with the fresh dye inks, because again, like I was talking at the beginning when I was yapping so much, because these inks are felt, the ink pad is like firm. You can like tap and press. If I was using an ink pad that was foam, I would be much lighter with inking up, because you don't want to be pressing ink into everything, because you're just going to make a huge mess. You know, it's not fun. So I'm going to ink that up just part of the way. And then I'm going to take the Sunray and I'm going to ink that up. And if you want to get finicky, usually I'll just leave like this. I don't care. But what we could do is grab one of my blending brushes. Let's grab a yellow. Actually, I got a clean one in here. Oh, I did link to this. This is the Altenew little fabulous brush holder. Let me set him over there. But what you can do is take a brush and just kind of buff that little area so that you're not getting any harsh lines from the ink pad. Again, we're getting a little finicky. You don't have to do this, but it's an option. You know, just do that. That's it. So then, and I managed to knock over, because I had donut, I need a bigger boat. Got to get him back in his place. So we're just going to put him back in his home. We can tape him down like that and like that. That's enough. It should work. Actually, let's not be stupid. Let's move him over a bit. There we go. So now he's taped into place. We can flip him over. And again, he's suspended. And then I can actually, let me zoom out a little bit so we're not quite so like, and then we run it through. There we go. So then once he's run through, I can get everything out of the way. Like that. And then you don't even need to color it. This could be a card front. You know? Like, it did pick up some of that Obsidian ink. I'm fine with this. I am totally fine with this. You know? After this live, I'm going to give this a good clean. Like, I'll scrub it real good and, remove all the ink and he'll be fine. But I don't care. I don't care that it picked up a bit of that ink because, I was live. But this is why I freaking love press plates, y'all. This is, it's so pretty. Look how pretty it is. Look at it. Look how beautiful it is. And that's just the inside. It's just the inside of the card. And yeah, with the fresh dye inks, don't use what am I doing? Use a wipe that's not covered in green ink. Okay. So yeah, with the fresh dye inks or just any dye base, like water reactive type ink, that's how I clean the plates. But with the pigment inks and the heavier inks, yeah, he'll get a good clean once this live is over, but he's good enough for now. He's good enough. So we can just pop that out. Ooh, I got like stuff everywhere. I made a mess. Don't really care. There we go. Good enough. Okay. I think you started a trend. I've noticed more makers doing inside elements to their cards. Love it. I love it. Whatever floats their boat. Yeah, I don't know if it's a trend. I've been doing it for 20 years, but yeah. Yeah. I got like dusty in here working in the garage. I wish, and I got schmutz on the back of it. I wish you guys could see, there we go, in real life. I wonder, how close can I get? It's so hard to show, but like it is pressed in, you know, like BETTERPRESS, and like again, just fresh dye inks and that detail. I can't, I love it. I love it. It's so gorgeous. So yeah, love it. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. So anywho, Laura, I cannot answer that. I am not at liberty to answer that. Based on previous years, it's usually what happens, but I cannot answer that. So, done in black with watercolor. You know, the options. You could do this over and over and over again. If you wanted to do like a card set, choose whatever colors. You could do one color. You could do multiple colors. You know, you could get, if you really wanted to get finicky, you could ink up like just the blooms, do the greenery and green, like that you're getting, but if you wanted to. But even just like do an ombre of colors and just run it through and then add a sentiment. I love it. I love it so much. It's so beautiful. So we got that. We're almost done, you guys. For all my yapping, I have sentiments, which are also pressed sentiments. I pulled out the in this pile. No, that's the wrong one. Let me make sure I got the right one. There's another oldie but goodie favorite. This is the One Go solid sentiment strips. And what do you mean when you say fresh dye inks? That's what these are. Altenew fresh dye ink. That's what they're called. Every brand has their own like name for their inks, like, but yeah, Altenews are fresh dye inks. So, love these. They are a plate. I linked to, well, they're in my BETTERPRESS playlist, and I've used these. And I also linked to the tea video, tea time, whatever it's called. It's in the description box below as well, where I press these with just, again, fresh dye inks. So these color ones are fresh dye inks. These ones, I heat emboss these with the with Altenew's Ivory Black hot foil, and I put this in my Glimmer hot foil machine, and then hot foiled these. And also, it saved me time, so I didn't have to do it today. Love it, because and then yeah. So these coordinate with the little die. One die. That's why they call it One Go. Press those, die cut them, and I've done it a couple times. There's a second one available right now. So this is the original One Go solid sentiment strips. And then they came out with sentiment strips 2. And then there's another one. Did it already come out or it's coming out? You didn't hear it from me. I didn't do nothing. I didn't say anything. Anyway, I keep them. And then that was perfect because then I can add. Do I want to make this into a birthday card? Ooh, I like that color. It's in the tea set video. I don't remember what color I used for this. I'm honestly not sure, but it works. Yeah, let's make this a birthday card. So that's what we're gonna do. I missed. Yes. We're good. Have you ever used Versamark on the press plates? No. You can. Here, and this plate will be good. I made a mess, you guys. So you can, in theory, Here's why I haven't done it. I know you can. Just temper your expectations. And I'll explain why I say that. So, these, provide amazing detail, like running this through. Thanks, Mitzi. I was right. There's another one coming out next week. Also, Mitzi, it's proof that I'm behind. Anyway, it's in a bin. It's behind me. It's in a bin. Anyway, I'll get to it. So, like, okay, Versamark with press plates. So you see like all this like detail. Beautiful. You could use Versamark. If you wanted to use like Versamark on this on dark cardstock, like dark color cardstock, do it. Try it. You'd probably get amazing results. I haven't done it, but it should work. To get that tone on tone look. And a lot of where I say temper your expectations is if you wanted to heat emboss with this. Because remember, like say you put this in your BETTERPRESS, you ink it up with Versamark or just a clear sticky ink, and you run it through. You have to remember that it is being pressed into, like heavily pressed into. There's a lot of pressure into the cardstock. So then when you go to put your embossing powder over it, that's where you need to temper your expectations, because when we stamp with a regular stamp, you stamp it onto the paper, that's sitting on top of the paper. But with the press plate, it's now going in. So then when you're pouring your embossing powder over, depending on the embossing powder you're using, the type of paper, it'll pick up some areas, it might not pick up everything. So that's what I mean by temper your expectations, but it doesn't hurt to try it. I know you can do it. You'll just get a sort of different result. It will not be, even if you used an ultra fine embossing powder, it will not be as crisp as the actual detail. It just won't be, because you're adding, like the embossing powder is chunkier, even fine embossing powder, like that super fine detail. But you could ink this up with Versamark and then run it through with a really dark, like, Altenew's got some dark cardstocks. Could be gorgeous. Worth trying out. I haven't done it, but these are fun to play with, you guys. Like, and again, this one's 50% off. Hey. Anyway, back to what we're I'm all over the place. But yeah, there's like so many things, and it's always worth just experimenting. If you're not sure, try it, and if you can't find a video of another maker doing it, try it. It's just paper. Grab a piece of paper, grab a press plate, your Versamark, see what happens. Did I did clog my glue. Because sometimes, you can discover some of the neatest little things, and it's like, oh, who'd have thunk? Like when the BETTERPRESS first came out, like when it first came out, I was interested. I've always loved press plates and just the concept of letterpress. But when it first, was announced, I was like a whole new system, separate plates, like a whole new investment sort of a thing. And I still got it. I still ordered it. I was like, I want it anyway. It was after when, again, all the makers got it in their hands and started playing. And then when we discovered you could hot foil with the press plates, use other inks, all the things. I have so much fun. Like, again, this sentiment. Okay, I'll get to that. Let me glue this down. We're just liquid glue, nothing crazy. We're just adhering it straight as is. Boop. There we go. So, what I personally love so much about the press plates is in that tea video, I ran this solid sentiment strip. I inked it up with Altenew's fresh dye ink, whichever color, because I don't remember what color I used, but it's in that video. It'll be linked and I'll say it. And then like look at that. Like that looks like it was pre-printed. Does that make sense? Like the writing is crisp. It's not fuzzy. And that's all I did. I inked it up. I ran it through with, this is just a smooth white cardstock. And then I die cut it with the coordinating Aye, that's all I did. You know? Who'd have thunk? I'm gonna pop this up with a little bit of foam tape. I'll adhere the other one onto the inside. Oh, love it. Love it so much. Anyway, apologies, this live wasn't supposed to be this long, but I got talky. I got distracted, and I like talking to you guys. And that crow threw me off. It's all his fault. We'll blame the crow. But yeah, you need to use the ultra fine with the grip. You can use ultra fine embossing powders. Like that's especially if you want to preserve as much detail. I will for those that aren't familiar, like powders that are actually ultra fine, and there's not that many of them, but ultra fine embossing powders are also something where you need to temper your expectations. Like I wouldn't personally like say this was a stamp. Again, this is my one. Say this was a stamp. I personally would not use an ultra fine embossing powder with it. The ultra fine would be great for this fine detail, but it would not be good for solid areas like this. Because again, ultra fine embossing powders are almost the equivalent of dust. They are very finely milled, very tiny particles. They're great for detail, tiny little sentiments, things with detail. But anything solid, ultra fine, it doesn't work very well. It gets really patchy and it's annoying. I rarely work with actual ultra fine. Some call themselves ultra fine, but it's the same stuff. Anyway, we're getting into the weeds. Okay. Yeah. And I have 5 million things to do today, you guys. I gotta get this done. I was gonna add splatter, but now maybe I won't. Should I? I kinda want to. I'm gonna add splatter. Let's quickly add splatter, and then so we'll leave this front sentiment off for a second. I wanted to add splatter. Where's my splat box? I got distracted. What else is new? I want to take as is tradition. Oh, we got a storm rolling in. Okay, I do need to get this done. Maybe that's what the crow was doing, you guys. Maybe he was warning me, like, stop talking, lady. You got a storm coming on, and Anyway, okay, we're gonna take the Snapdragon color. I'm gonna smush it on there. In fact, I'll even add the terracotta, which is much, not much darker, but it's darker because we're gonna add it to Altenew's white gouache, which I joked about this when I first got it because it is a huge tube. And when I first ordered it, I was kind of shocked because I didn't notice that it said 50 mil. I thought it was 15 mil, which is a standard size tube. And no, it's enormous. You get this enormous tube. I've already used up like half of it, So, no regret. No regret. Okay. So, we can take a bit of water, the white gouache, and then we can just mix it with the inks to get whatever color I want. So we'll just kind of scrape that over. Just like that. To get my custom mix. Oh, I like that. I like that color. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. There we go. Just a bit, Hope your garage does not leak with the storm. We should be okay. I've moved things from those two spots, so now I can see at a glance. It's happened a couple more times, one more time since, but not as bad. No, wait, I lied. No, it did flood as bad another time since that first time, but moved a lot of things out of the way and dealing with it. Dealing with it. We'll see. I can hear thunder and it's like just darker. It's like, yeah, I guess that bird was warning me that like a storm was coming. So anyway, it is what it is. There we go. There we go. So now we've got a bit of splatter, which I have to let dry, but just to finish this off, I'm going to take this little sentiment strip and we're going to pop him up. I didn't link to this. I'll edit that and add that link after. I'm just going to use some of Altenew's Instant Dimension foam tape. I love this. I need to get another roll of this stuff. This is the 1 inch wide and it's only like a 1/16 of an inch thick. So your what I call standard thickness. Love this stuff. Where's my scissors? Okay. So I'm just going to get that out of the way so I don't drop something on here because that splatter needs to dry. But I'm just going to cut a couple of narrow strips with this. Yeah, that thunder's crazy. There we go. There we go. Okay. And then just peel off the backing. Burp. Peel off the backing. Make sure everything is straight. And there's our finished card. So, it took me a lot longer than I planned because I talked way too much, but I do like to talk. I like talking to you guys. Let me zoom in. Boop. There we go. So, they'll be dry in a bit, but a couple of my little splatters. But yeah, that is the absolutely fabulous inked Poppies press plate. And then, of course, the inside, which could be its own standalone card as per usual. But something like this, I will write right over it. Don't care. Don't care. It just gives that extra something. But this totally could be its own card. And I love it. So yeah. Love it. So before we get to the very end, again, reminder, I'll show the little dealio that Altenew gave. So you can get a pack of that cold press watercolor paper I used. You can get it for free with my code AmyLive2 with orders over 49. The actual specific in the description box below. The link, the code, it's good for a couple of days. It's below. And then huge thank you to Mitzi for helping in the chat. I appreciate you, Mitzi. She puts up. She gets extra thumbs up. Everyone she puts up with me. Anyone who can put up with me deserves like all the praise. And then yeah, this press plate is on sale. Worth checking out. There's all kinds of other, like Altenew does some good deals. So there's some sales, all the things. I will do the photos and the social medias and all that stuff when I'm done this to keep it all, keep it all where it needs to go, yada, yada, yada. And yeah, appreciate you guys. My brain's in a million places. I've been doing multiple daily videos. I've got many more coming. As of, oh, really, Mitzi? Send me your, yeah, I'll mail it to you. Totally. You have my email address. So just email me today. And I'll pop it in the mail. Why not? Love it. Yeah. You know how to get a hold of me and then I'll email it to you. As for my Sunday live, as of right now, I still plan on going live on Sunday at 2 p.m. If I have to postpone it, just because I have a lot on my plate. This coming week, there's a lot. Altenew's September release is coming. It's really good. It's really good. And so there's like, video hops and all the things. So much fun stuff. So that's coming, all the other fun stuff. So I will just keep you all informed like I always do. And um yeah. Yeah, there's freebies and codes and sales and stamp timber, and there's a lot. There's a lot. This month is nuts. It's a lot of fun. I have a mess to clean up. And yes, to those that have birthdays or just had birthdays, love it. And yeah, Mitzi, just send me your mailing address and I'll mail it to you. I like sending people cards. It's fun. And I think I caught up with all of the like questions and all the things. Pretty sure. Could you send the rain my way over? Yeah, we're supposed to get like a lot of rain. We'll see. We shall see. But yeah, I will let you guys know if between now and Sunday. I'm not sure. There's a lot. I have a lot. I was in here till like 1 a.m. this morning or something, working and swatching and doing things, and I'm just like, yeah, can't think straight. But I appreciate all of you. Thank you guys for tuning in. To those watching on the replay, I appreciate you all too. And I will get all the things done. I'll edit my links that I might need to edit. And I think, yep, September is nuts in the best way possible. Everything is good. That storm, I have little windows at the top of my garage doors that I can kind of see out of. Also, all I can see is the sky. It's just gray. It's just gray. It's kind of depressing, but I love a good storm. Yeah, we got to justify all the purchases. Don't have to justify anything, you know. Life is short. Buy the things. Enjoy it. Enjoy it, you know. And thank you to Altenew for the little freebie code. I love it. I love it. And I will be back. I had a video go up earlier today. I have videos coming tomorrow. I got 5 million things to do. So I will talk to you all later. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. And I'll catch you guys really soon in the next one. Bye. Thank you so much to my amazing Patreon supporters. For anyone that might be interested in joining my Patreon community and supporting me, the link to my Patreon is in the description box below the video. For everyone else, as always, thank you all so much for taking the time to watch my videos, for thumbs upping, commenting, subscribe if you haven't, I'd love to have you. And here's a couple other videos for you to check out in case you missed them. Bye!